Hello, it's me. Going to talk about Full Moon by Jim Butcher, which is number 2 in the Dresden Files series. So this is sort of widely regarded by most of the reviewers that I've listened to be the worst or the weakest book in the series. If it is, I'm glad we got it out the way at book 2. This book wasn't terrible. It had a lot of things I liked in it, but I did have a lot of issues with this book. This one is about Dresden investigating killings by what appears to be a werewolf, and his police contact Karen Murphy, who is under investigation after the incidents of book 1, and the interaction with the FBI, who are also involved in the case and trying to yank it away from Murphy. While the first book was sort of a weaving together of plots that tied up at the end, this book, in terms of the story, did feel very linear, and the twistiness of the plot came from sort of a convoluted mess of threat parties and the fact that Dresden is sort of caught in the crossfire. This book didn't really have the same down-to-earth, gritty, grimy feeling as book 1. And I feel like the fantasy side of it spiraled a little bit out of control, and I'm hoping it continues that. Because the events in this one were so drastic on the supernatural side, it's going to have wider implications later on in the series. But huge events did happen. There were consequences and witnesses, but it did feel at the end of the book like there was an attempt to sort of wrap this up. So yeah, I really do have the sincere hope that things come back to bite him later on in the series. Probably the main thing I can sort of smell the whole way through this book that really comes across to me, and I don't know how correct I am, is a lack of confidence on the part of the author. And I understand that probably comes from sort of finding his feet as the series is going on. But it comes across as almost a distrust in the audience of the book. And it feels like a lot of the time information is being spoon-fed to us. That was really my main gripe with this one. I can think of 3 main bits where there was a lot of baby spoon-feeding, and I'll talk about them at the end after a spoiler warning so we can have a proper chat. Also, there's a very weird bit of what may or may not be foreshadowing, and I'm not going to be 100% certain of that until I read the rest of the series, and I'll talk about that bit at the end as well. There's a lot crammed into this book in terms of lore figures, not L-A-W, I mean L-O-R-E, that are on the surface quite similar and do fall under the same sort of umbrella. And I think I understand the author's reason for this, but it does have the danger of coming across as something different. I think the intention was really to showcase how little humans understand the nuance or the differences which they may consider to be intellectual between various aspects of the paranormal that turn out to be very different when they're placed into a real world setting. And to be a sort of, you have no idea what is out there, and even how the monsters you think you know work. And this is a werewolf book. It's obviously a werewolf book, so I don't think this is divulging too much. But it does feel like putting all the variants of a creature into the same story is a bit, okay, let's get all this out the way in one go. Tie it up at the end, we won't have to use that creature of the week again. I liked all the things that were featured in the book, but it is a risky move using so many things in such a closed story. One other thing I really did like was the amount of action in this book. There were a lot of well choreographed scenes, and it was like bang, 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 action, 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 which made the book very fast paced and like almost exhausting to read. We really got to see a bit more of Dresden's sort of fast talking Deadpool wit in this one, but I feel like he was nerfed by the author in order to make the situation, which may not have been challenging to him normally, challenging enough to drag out for a whole book. In terms of character development in this one, which I think is important in a sequel, there isn't a huge amount, and most of what did happen is sort of a cycle back to how characters were at the start of book one, especially the relationship between Dresden and Murphy. I would really like for there to be sort of a wider cast of characters in the series to come. And I know it's the Dresden Files, it's going to be about Dresden, but I do feel like it is very much Harry Dresden and a backdrop cast, and hopefully that's going to change in the future. I feel like there's a lot of room for characters to be added, and a lot of stuff that can be explored in terms of Harry's relationship with other people. I feel like there's a lot of room for that, if they wanted to put it in. As I said at the start, though, this book doesn't suck. It was really okay, quite fun. It didn't lead on to things in the same way that book one did, and it had a very different feeling, which was noticeable the whole way through. So I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10. Spoiler time. From here out is going to be spoilers and sort of mild ranting about this book, left, right, and centre. So if you don't care about this book, watch on. If you've already read this book, watch on. If it's something you're yet to read or something you're excited about, don't listen to this next bit. I'll see you next time. Okay, things I had an issue with. The first one that really made me like, huh? Towards the start of the book was Harry's explosive rage towards Marcone, and I really didn't get where that came from. In the first book, he really was he was civil. He was civil with Marcone, and he didn't like him, he didn't trust him, but at the start of the book, when Harry is offered a contract to work with Marcone for 5 days a month, in a very civil setting, even though it's something Harry doesn't want to do, Harry just fires back at him. He's like, "You're an animal! You belong in a cage!" And it was like, whoa, I don't know. The scene felt very out of place, and I feel like the scene could have worked if it had been in the book later, after some things that happened between Harry and Marcone. Second is the spoon feeding information. The first instance of this is when Harry is knocked out and he's talking to subconscious Harry, and everything is sort of spelled out and put into place, and here's bang, 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 here's what's going on, here's what you're thinking, here are the motivations. The second is when Harry is questioning Roger Harris, and exactly the same thing is happening, and Roger Harris just spells out, these are the villains, these are what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And the third is the bit right at the end of the book, where the internal monologue of Harry Dresden is like, oh, this happened in book one, this happened in book two, and I really don't know who's behind it. There's some big threats to come. And I felt like when he looked into Denton's eyes and he saw the person handing him the belt, and Roger Harris said that Denton had made a deal with somebody, didn't know who it was was sort of implied that there's a figure in the background pulling the strings. And the same way that in book one he wasn't sure. He said that black magicians don't spring up out of nowhere, so it's sort of implied that there is a villain. And I thought the bit at the end of the book, where he's internally monologuing about this villain, was sort of not graceful. It didn't feel like it felt like, here you go, baby reader, here's information. Don't forget this bit that happened. And it's like, come on. We're reading these books. We know these things. When he's talking to subconscious Harry as well, or sort of internal Harry, and internal Harry is wearing the black leather coat that Susan gives him later in the book, I was like, what? I don't know if this is... I'll be mad if it's just foreshadowing. If it turns out that in some way he was speaking to a future version of Harry, or somebody masquerading as Harry, or in some way to a different actual version of himself, then I'll understand. But if it just turns out, oh, he dreamed a coat and then he got it, I feel like that'll suck if they don't explain that well, because it's something that could lead on to something else. Thirdly, honestly, in the grand scheme of things that Harry knows are out there that may be potential threats to him, helping the police investigate killings by what may be a werewolf, while it sucks, while it's a terrible thing that's happening, doesn't seem like an S-rank top-tier threat. But the bargain Harry makes with the demon for information regarding this non-essential threat, and what he bargains away to the demon in terms of a name, of which the demon already has 2 of his names and only needs 4 for him to be dangerous. So now he has 3. And I feel like you're going to bargain that away for something so, in the grand scheme of things, trivial. And he mentions the demon he's made a pact with, Chauncey, he's worked with before, because he talks about the reliability of Chauncey's information. And it's like, surely what was happening in book 1 was a bigger, wider threat. And where was this in book 1? You could have done it then. This was another bit, almost, of where there's sort of a bang, 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 bang of the demon giving Harry almost just loads of information in the same short space of the book. And I think because these books are primarily detective stories, having things in it like that, where Harry is just given a bullet point list of everything he needs, removes the need for the police procedural side of it, which is something I really loved for book 1, and there is much less of in book 2. Yeah, that's it for my rant about this book. Some revisions and alterations to the predictions I made, and some more predictions that I think are going to happen. I think werewolves won't really come up again as a threat, because I think they've had their spotlight book and it's probably not going to happen again. So that's number 1. Number 2, the author name dropped what I think is a branch of the White Council that is dedicated to, or is in favour of, the eradication or the hunting of non-humans. And I think that's going to tie in some way to Susan becoming something, and the council going after her, or this branch of the council going after her to kill her. And 3, they name dropped Elaine, somebody from Harry's past, who is pretty much spelled out that she's still alive and is bad. So I'm almost certain that the events from book 1 and book 2, Elaine is behind it, pulling the strings. Those are my predictions. Yeah, I'm glad that this was the worst one early on, and I wasn't sort of 10 books deep in the series, really invested in the series, and then it was like, oh, it's bad now. But everybody I've spoken to has said this is the worst one. It gets better from here, so I will keep reading. I've got high hopes. Apparently, there is mad character development, which I'm excited for, and lots of twists that I won't see coming, apparently, which is always good. That's it for this review. Hope you're doing okay. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. There's more coming. Anything you'd like me to read. Have you read this? What did you think? Did it suck for you? Let me know. Yeah, hope you're doing good. I'll see you soon.